Hello everyone, it's a true pleasure to be here with you talking about innovation. This is a topic that I'm really excited about, and the reason why I'm excited about innovation is because innovation is the juice of life. Life, as we know it, if you think about it, is all due to innovation. All species that currently are alive in our planet, they owe it to the fact that there was an innovation that allowed them to evolve, adapt to the environment, and thrive. And there are really amazing cases of innovation in nature. Okay? For example, take the case of mice. Mice today have evolved and there are species that became immune to poison. So the biggest threat that they had in their lives was poisoned humans trying to kill them, and they were able to evolve and innovate in order to become immune to the poison. In fact, today Paris has a huge problem with the plague of mice because they simply can't kill them with poison. At this moment in Paris, there are 1.5 mice per human. Okay, so huge problem due to a brilliant innovation. Another species that has evolved tremendously is the mimic octopus. It not only is able to change and shift their colors, but they imitate other animals. They have this ability to transform their shape in order to imitate other animals and therefore become a better predator and stay alive as well. Okay? Of course, not all innovations in nature are good innovations. Let's take the case of the rain frog. Jesus, what happened here, right? Those legs and that body, something has gone wrong here. I would say that rain frog is in fast forward speed towards extinction. Okay? And it's interesting when we see and talk about innovation in nature because it's a lot like innovation in companies. If you think about it, there's a lot of companies, they are always trying to innovate, and some innovations allow them to evolve and become a successful company, and others are fail. In fact, when we see today, more than half of the companies that try to innovate and try to thrive, they fail in the process. 55% of startups, they don't even reach the 4-year plateau. Okay? They fail in the process, which makes it even more amazing. Your case, you are reaching 18 years. You clearly have gone through the 4-year plateau. You've managed to succeed to surpass it. You've been profitable for a long time. So clearly you are a case of success, right? So before we go on with the presentation, let's just take a little time to celebrate your success. So give yourselves a big round of applause, okay? You've made it. You've made it with a team. And this year is particularly an interesting year because you are reaching maturity. You are reaching adulthood. You're turning 18, right? That's a great time. That means that you are not a rain frog, right? Well, it also means another thing. It also means that you are no longer a startup. You can't call yourself a startup with 18 years, right? You're no longer that kind of company. You are more now kind of corporation, which is a very good thing because all startups aim to become corporations, to become companies. That means they succeeded. But the fact that you are now a full grown-up company, it has meaning, a different meaning. Right? If you think about it, and let's take the help of Peter Parker's uncle. You know what he says, right? Who can help me? Great power, great responsibility, right? Yeah, I knew I was among geeks and nerds. I know they will help me with this one, okay? So now you have a lot of responsibility because it's up to you to make sure that this company continues to thrive. And in order to thrive, now you no longer have to operate in a startup mode where you can do a little bit of everything and people will, okay, we are starting the company so we can do things like we managed to do it. No, now you have a responsibility towards your clients. Everything needs to run smoothly, perfect processes, procedures in place, right? You have to take care of all those things which are really important for the business. And sometimes when you are so focused on making sure that all the processes, all the procedures are working perfectly well, you tend to put aside the need to innovate. You are too focused on the daily tasks in order to focus on innovation. Okay? But the thing is, remember life. Life is about continue to evolve. And in order for you to evolve, you need to innovate. And we are living an age where everything is getting a faster pace. So innovation needs to be quicker and quicker in order to be successful. Even species are evolving at a faster pace. For example, take the tawny owl. Tawny owl had a very dark, very light brown feathers because it was the perfect camouflage in a winter with snow environment. The problem is that their region where they are living no longer has snow. So they don't get very camouflage. So in the last 30 years, they've been evolving and they have been turning their feathers to a darker brown so that they can continue to camouflage. Okay. So even nature is evolving at a faster pace. Okay. So you need to evolve, and in order to evolve, you need to innovate. There is a quote that I like very much, which is, in the age of information availability, which is now, every information is available now if we want to, everything that exists can be copied. And the ones that constantly dare to create the new are the ones that will lead and thrive. So in order for you to continue to have success, you need to continue to innovate. Okay? Which was, by the way, how you were created, by bringing innovation to your market. Okay? By the way, if you like this quote, the author is myself. Okay? I found out that whenever you put something in brackets, it becomes more solemn, gets more impact. So, what you have to do is keep calm and continue to innovate in your daily life. Okay? Now, this is easier to say than done, right? You know what? I know you are a bunch of guys with a lot of ideas. I've been told that you have a lot of ideas, and you really want to put them in place. The thing is, then the day happens, okay? You want to work on ideas. What happens is you are working on your day, you want to start working on an innovation project, but then something happens in that day, a customer is complaining, you dodge the first bullet, but then you caught up with the second and the third, and now you are just taking care of business as usual, and innovation was for the next day, right? Sounds familiar? Who had this problem? Yeah, right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, so what you need to try to establish is some sort of balance, a balance between what you need to do in order to take care of the business today and what you need to do in order to take care of the business tomorrow. Okay? It's like driving a car with both feet, one on the accelerator and the other on the brake, right? And this is very hard. I mean, take another example. Whenever you want to, imagine, I want to get into shape, right? And I know what I have to do to get into shape. I need to go to the gym, and I have to take care of what I eat. And if I do this for an extended period of time, later I'll get into shape, right? But then this wonderful slice of cake appears in front of me. And I go, oh, this cake, oh, I shouldn't, right? I shouldn't. So I have this pleasure, right? Let's say 6 months from now, and the pleasure at this moment. Okay. I'll take care of the cake now, the pleasure today, and tomorrow I will work on getting into shape, right? Okay. So in work, this is happening all the time. Every time that you want to focus on innovation, something from today happens and you say, okay, I'm going to take care of it today, and tomorrow I'll take care of innovation. Okay? So you have to break this cycle and try to find a way to balance these two things. Balance the time that you use to take care of the safety of the business today and time to create the business tomorrow. Okay. So the big question is how? How can I manage to find this balance? In order to explain you what is a system that has been working for a lot of companies, I'm going to tell you a story. Okay? And it's a story that involves Kung Fu, so bear with me. I think it's going to be a good story, okay, for those that like martial arts. And this is a story that started when I was 12 years old. Okay? When I was 12 years old, I started going alone to school by myself. So I ride the bus, and then I had a street where I had to walk. And it was not a very long distance, but it was not a very safe road to travel. So sometimes happened that I got mugged. Okay? Was a little kid, older guys came along and they robbed me. Okay? And first times was really scary. Other times you start getting used to. But I was really getting pissed off of being robbed. It's a sensation of that you are being violated. And at a certain point I said, enough. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to learn to defend myself. And because it was a period where Bruce Lee was on television a lot of times, I said, I'm going to learn Kung Fu. Okay? So I joined a gym where I start learning Kung Fu. I mastered the skills. I was a black belt. I start learning to use weapons, the raffles. I was doing like Bruce Lee and all, and I felt, whoa, now I'm unstoppable. Let them try to rob me. Okay? And for a long period, nothing happened, and I was like, okay, no, I'm confident, but I have no ways to test my abilities, my skills. And there was this moment, one night when I was about 20 years old, and I was going to meet some friends at a club, so I was alone. I parked the car. I was going over a bridge, over a train track, and suddenly it happened. Some guys came from one side, others from the other, and suddenly I was surrounded by three. Okay, really scary-looking dudes. One with the hand in a pocket, and they were threatening me, and they wanted my money. This was the moment to test everything that I've been learning. Okay? And I did nothing. I froze. I was completely froze. I couldn't move a muscle. All that training, all those skills, I couldn't apply them. suddenly I was saved by this old lady that started coming up the bridge, saw what happened, and started screaming like a mad woman. And they got scared and they ran away. So not the best way to get rid of that situation, right? So I was really down with this. What happened? Okay? And my analytical mind started thinking, okay, I need to find a good explanation for this. Okay? And what I started realizing is that when you are training for something like martial arts, you are training this in a controlled environment, in a laboratory conditions, where you take away some of the variables in order to deal with only some specific variables. For instance, I was practicing with guys that I knew already. They were my friends. So there's no big threat on that, right? I was practicing and with no low blows, right? Not everything goes. So you have to restrain yourselves. The weapons we use, they were all protected. So these are not the regular conditions in reality. So when I was out of the laboratory and my mind knew that there was all this range of new possibilities that could happen, I couldn't cope with them because I wasn't prepared to cope with them. It was later in life when I started studying the innovation processes and how companies can become successful through innovation that I realized that the same thing happens with innovation in companies. People tend to learn how to innovate in laboratory conditions. And when they come to life and they start trying to apply and creating process to innovate, they fail. Because they were not taught to count with some variables, namely what you need to do every single day in order to make the business successful, okay, and continue running. So you were completely blindsided by whatever is going on besides the innovation. So you need to take that into consideration. Okay. There is a very interesting experiment that has been done in order to understand how deep this effect goes into companies, which is called the Marshmallow Tower experiment. Have you heard about it? Someone? Two guys here. So bear with me, you already heard this experiment. You know what I'm going to talk about. So this experiment is this. You have teams, people are divided into teams, and to each team is given 20 spaghetti straws, duct tape, cord, and one marshmallow. And your goal is to build the highest tower possible with the marshmallow right on top. Okay? And it has to stick. And you have 18 minutes to do it. Okay? This experiment has been done a lot of times through the world. Okay? So there's a lot of data on the kind of results people usually get. And it's when you're starting to analyze different groups, how different groups perform, that this gets really interesting. So I'm going to share with you some of the results of this experiment. Okay, so these are some examples of what people come up with, the kind of structure, so that you can have an idea of what we are talking about. So let's see some of the results. So the average height that people can reach is a tower with about 50 centimeters. Okay. Now, one group that is clearly underperforming is the lawyers. Okay. So lawyers are not very good builders, right? They are way below average. On the other hand, one group that is performing extremely well, thank God for all of us, are architects, right? Thank God they know how to build a tower. Now, what's interesting is to understand other kind of groups. One group that is performing even worse than lawyers are MBA students. So the people that are taught how to handle projects are the ones that do worst. And the other guys here who are not MBA students, who are developers, you had better results, but not that better. Okay, you still are below average. Developers have an average of 42 centimeters, so not that great. CEOs are above average, but not very above average, 53 centimeters. There is another group, however, that has nothing to do with building constructions for life, that doesn't build constructions for life, that had a very, very positive performance. They managed to reach 71 centimeters on average. And this group is of the kindergarten kids. Allow me to let you sink in on this. The group with a great performance, other than architects, are kindergartens. Way better than MBA students, developers, CEOs, and lawyers. Now, clearly the MBA students here are the rain frog. Now, why is that? What happened? Why did the MBA students perform that worst? It has to do with the way they manage time. Whenever an MBA student has a project, he is taught on the best way to use his time. Okay? And the time they use is this way. First, they allocate the first chunk of time to some orientation. What are going to be the roles of each one in the team? Who does what? How are we going to tackle this issue? And so on. Then they spend a lot of time on the planning. How are we going to approach this challenge? Then they start building what they idealized, what they conceived. Okay? They build, and in the last minute is when they put the marshmallow on top and everything collapses. Okay? So what happens is they idealize something, they go for it all in, and the last moment when they put the marshmallow, it's when they see if they are going to be successful or not, they run out of time to try different ways. Okay? This is exactly the opposite of what kindergartens do. What kindergartens do is they put 3 straws of spaghetti or already they have the marshmallow on top. So they already made something that holds the marshmallow. Okay? Now they are going to build from that, and they are going to do a lot of experimenting in order to see if they can build other structures that can hold the marshmallow higher and higher and higher. Okay? So they are always playing with the marshmallow, with the final goal. And so they know they already have a solution that works. And then they work on top of it. So I'm almost finishing. So what I would like to leave you with is to think about this. Whenever you have an idea, whenever you have something that you believe it's going to be good for your business, don't waste too much time in conceiving and idealizing how this should happen and so on. Try immediately to experiment. Put your work, put your energy in just doing experiments. Start talking immediately with all the stakeholders involved with that idea. Involve clients, customers, the people that will benefit from the implementation of that idea. See how they respond to it. Make mock-ups. Do usability testing right up front instead of in the end. Make sure that before you commit all your time and energy to a project, you have some sound proof that that project is something that will work for the company. And if you work this way, this will have an added bonus. It's because once you have an idea and you test the idea and you see that it works, that people will want what you are trying to introduce in the market, you will get excited with it. And with excitement comes energy. The energy that you will need in order to make that innovation work and happen. And you need that innovation to happen because you don't want to be a rain frog. Thank you very much for your attention. It was a real pleasure to be here with you. Rui, thank you for the invitation. I hope to see you soon.